Welcome to CC Cycle 2, Week 9. We have another week of learning ahead of us and we're going to get right stuck in. We're going to start off with history. The history sentence for this week is, tell me about the Korean War. In 1950, General Douglas MacArthur led the United Nations forces to stop Communist North Korea from capturing all of South Korea during the Korean War. So if you look at me, I'm going to do some hand motions. In 1950, General Douglas MacArthur led the United Nations forces to stop Communist North Korea from capturing all of South Korea during the Korean War. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. In 1950, General Douglas MacArthur led the United Nations forces to stop Communist North Korea from capturing all of South Korea during the Korean War. And that is the history for this week. Moving on to the Latin. The Latin for this week, I want you to think about, we are doing first conjugation endings, perfect tense. And I want you to think about, if you were to get a perfect present, you would go with excitement. And that is what the endings for this week is. So it's isti, it, imus, istis, errant. And don't forget, there is a song on the app if you'd like to do that. But it's quite easy. It's the first conjugation endings, perfect tense. And it's isti, it, imus, istis, errant. And that is the Latin for this week. Moving on to the math. The math for this week is the area of a circle. Now the area of a circle equals pi 3.14 times the radius squared. And if you think about a circle, if you were to think the middle of the circle, the center point, and you would go from the center point all the way out to the circumference, from the center to the circumference is the radius. So the area of a circle equals pi 3.14 times the radius squared. And that is the math for this week. Moving on to the English. This week in English, we're looking at a gerund. A gerund is a present participle verb form used as a noun. Okay, I'm going to say it again. A gerund is a present participle verb form used as a noun. And now we are going to be moving on to the signs, and I'm going to be doing some hand motions for the signs. So if you could look at me. The signs for this week is, what is the first law of thermodynamics? The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time. What is the first law of thermodynamics? The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. And that's quite a simple science sentence for this week, and I hope you will be able to remember it. Moving on to our last subject for this week, we're going to be looking at the geography. So this week in the geography, we are looking at Southeastern Asia. And just to give us some context, I've got a globe in front of me. And if you have a look, this is where we are, right at the bottom of Africa. And if we were to go all the way east, right here to Asia, all the way east, this week we are looking right at the eastern part of the Pacific. And that's where our focus is going to be today. So it's Southeastern Asia. So just to remind you, we are looking at Southeastern Asia, and the countries that we're looking at today is North Korea, South Korea, below South Korea here is Taiwan, and then all the islands of the Philippines, and then little Guam. And don't forget, we are in the Pacific and we're in the southeastern part of Asia. And as previously I said, we're going to do a song on the tune of Jesus Loves the Little Children. Southeastern Asia, North and South Korea, between Japan and China, drop down to Taiwan, Philippines, the island nation, little Guam. Southeastern Asia, North and South Korea, between China and Japan, drop down to Taiwan, Philippines, the island nation, little Guam. And that brings us to the end of CC Cycle 2, Week 19. I'm wishing all of you a good week of learning and see you next time. Goodbye.